Hi besties, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Rachel, and welcome to a new reading vlog. So in today's video, I'm going to be reading 3 fantasy romances from my June TBR. Hopefully, we do try to stick to a TBR here. There's actually quite a few books that I'm really looking forward to, so I don't think that'll be too hard. But I have actually already started 2 books, so I want to talk about those. I don't know what the 3rd book I'm going to read is. We'll probably discuss that later in the week, but let's get into my current reads, and I will give you guys my first thoughts on them. So the first book that I am reading is The Throne of Honor and Blood by J. Bree. So this is the sequel to The Crown of Ilse and Curses, and this is one of my most anticipated reads of the entire year. I'm not very far into it. I want to say I'm like a quarter of the way into the book. I'm reading it on my Kindle and I haven't picked it up in a few days, so that's why I'm not entirely sure. And so far, I am enjoying this book. I'm liking it. It's definitely meeting the expectations that I had for it at this point. It is a little bit of a slow start, but also The Crown of Ilse and Curses was a slow start as well, so I think that's just the way the series might go. But I do think that in these slow moments, we are getting some really great character interactions that have been very entertaining. And can we take a moment to talk about the prologue of The Throne of Honor and Blood? Oh my god, I love that prologue. That is a 5-star prologue in my opinion. I never ever saw that coming in a million years. That completely blew me away. It makes me want to go back and reread The Crown of Ilse and Curses again to see if more of that comes into play. I thought that was so brilliant. I can't wait to see what comes of that. So I love the prologue. 10 out of 10, absolutely amazing. And I'm excited to keep reading it and kind of get into the meat of the story. Currently I'm in like a battle scene right now, which this is my red flag as a fantasy reader. I love when war is a part of the plot. I love war brewing. I love when our characters have to prepare for war, going into battle, because it just makes the stakes so high, and I think that it makes the story very interesting. But what my red flag is actual battle scenes are just like not my thing. There are a few battle scenes that I think, depending on how they're written, can be really cool, but a lot of times I'm just like, okay, like 1 + 1 is 3, that person's doing that move, I have no idea what's going on, I can't really picture this. I don't know why, I just have a really hard time imagining battle scenes, and currently in the scene that I'm reading, I'm just ready to be past it and get back to kind of character interactions. So that's where I'm at with the book so far. I'm liking it. I'm curious to see what's going to happen. I truly don't know the direction that we are going to be taking the relationship in this book. I don't know how many books are going to be in the series. I think it was originally going to be a trilogy, but then I did hear that it might be made into a quartet instead. So that makes me wonder how much of the relationship is going to develop in this book. I have no idea what to expect, but I'm really looking forward to it. I really love these characters and I really love this world, so I'm definitely invested and curious to see what's going to happen next. All right, and then the other book that I'm currently reading is Till Death by Miranda Lynn. So this is actually a standalone fantasy romance, but it is going to be the first book in a series of interconnected standalones. So I think we are going to have an overarching plot, but to have different couples in each book. So in this book, we follow our main character, and her name is Day, and she is Death's maiden. So in this world, there were these 2 kingdoms that were warring a lot, and I also believe like the gods abandoned them, and that added to the decimation and destruction of these kingdoms until Death stepped in. He gave everyone immortality until the age of 100, but then he assigns one person to be Death's maiden, and essentially he can call on her at any time to go and end someone's life, kind of just randomly. I think it's just sort of like a power play for Death, essentially. And our main character is Death's maiden. She really hates being an assassin, but she is very good at it, and she doesn't really have any control over it. It is like a magical possession that she has. When a name is burned onto her hand, she has to go and end that person's life, and if she doesn't, she will die. Our girl Day is a very skilled assassin, and we also find out that she is a princess. She is a princess of one of the kingdoms, but her father has basically disowned her. They have a very fraught relationship, and in the beginning of the book, we follow Day as she's going around assassinating people. We kind of get the lay of the land and the world. I really love the setting of this book. It's a very dark and grim kingdom. It gives me similar vibes as like Ketterdam and Rifthold, and I forget the name of the kingdom in When the Moon Hatched, but that just like dark, gritty, desolate, bad times, medieval kingdom. It's a really great setting, I think, for fantasy. So some conflict occurs. I'm not gonna say what it is. I actually think it is on the synopsis of the book, but I don't want to say what it is because I think it's kind of like better for you to just find out on your own. But some conflict occurs involving Day, and because of this, she gets forced into an arranged marriage with a new king of a kingdom. But she ends up getting tricked, marries the wrong guy, and that marriage is like magically binding, and she realizes that the person that she is married to is not a good person, not who she thought he was, and this kind of drags her into his world. He also works for, I think he's like more magically bound to this crime lord named the Maestro, and the Maestro runs this like Moulin Rouge-esque burlesque club, and our male main character is involved in that. Our female main character spends some time there. So that's kind of this extra setting we have, this very like lush theater with, as I said, kind of like a Moulin Rouge vibe. And she's also investigating the mysterious disappearance of the Life Maiden. There's apparently supposed to be a counterpart to her being the Death Maiden. We have a lot going on, and this is where I just have a bit of frustration because this book is good and I'm really enjoying it, but it has a lot going on and some of the plot points have been presented in a confusing way, and sometimes in a way that makes it feel like we, the reader, should already know this, but we haven't actually been introduced to the concept. Like the character will go like, oh, this is this, or oh, they must be there. And it's like, oh, should they? Like, should I have known that? And that for me has just been a little bit of a bummer because I do really like this book. I really like the writing and I really like our female main character, but I am a little bit confused by a lot of the plot lines that we have been presented to. And one other thing that is just confusing for me at this point, I do not understand the motivations of our male main character. I don't get him. I really don't. Like, I don't know. He's morally gray, obviously, because like he has to be, because he's a dark-haired love interest in a fantasy romance series. We know this. But he does like some really terrible things, and then he does some like really kind things, but then also he's like involved in things that I don't really understand. I don't know this man. I do not get him, and I don't really know how to feel about him. The way that he is written and the way that he is interacting with Day, I've never been so perplexed by a character. I'm trying to hold off on my judgment for that because I am liking the book. I am enjoying it. I have some criticisms, but I think that obviously we're gonna get reveals about this male main character. His name is Oren. We're gonna get reveals about Oren. We're gonna understand him more. But just where I'm at right now, I just like wish I had a little bit more of him. We don't get his POV, at least we haven't yet. I'm 30% of the way into the book and we don't get his POV. I don't know, he's just confusing. He's just confusing me and I don't really know what to do with the little information I have on him. But I am liking the book. I think that the world is really cool. I really like our female main character. I think Death being a character in this book is really great. I think that her being an assassin is great. I love a female main character assassin. I'm always going to love that. In the very beginning of the book, she definitely reminded me of like Selena Sardothian and Rave from When the Moon Hatched and Scarlet Monroe from Lady of Darkness. So kind of gave that vibe in the beginning, and that was a great, great way to start a book personally for me. I am a little bit all over the place with my feelings about this book. I just kind of wanted to stream of consciousness, give you guys my thoughts on this book. I've really enjoyed the book so far, and I think because I am liking a lot of aspects, but then struggling with a few others. So that is where I am at with my two current reads. All over the map, to say the least. But I'm liking both of them. I have a lot of questions about both of them. I am going to prioritize Till Death today because I did get the audiobook for it. Also, the audiobook is so good. I think this is one of the best fantasy romance audiobooks I have ever listened to because there is music added in, which is really cool. There's music in between the chapters, but then also anytime like a spell is cast, music is added in, which is just like such a nice touch. I really hope that I like this book so that I can recommend it to you all and then tell you guys to go listen to the audiobook specifically because it's a really well done audiobook. Regardless if I end up liking the book or not, it's a fantastic audio, 10 out of 10. So that is where we are at with the start of this weekly reading vlog. As I said, I don't know what my third book is going to be. I'm contemplating either picking up the Book of Azrael or maybe The Veiled Kingdom by Holly Renee, or potentially A Kingdom of Blood and Magic by, I believe, Kiara Forrester is that author's name. We'll see. We'll find out together. So I'm going to go. I'm definitely going to go listen to more of Till Death because I need to understand this male main character and hopefully fall more in love with it. So I will talk to you guys in a little bit to give you more thoughts on my current reads. Hi, stunning friends. So it is the next day and I am here to do another check-in for Till Death by Miranda Lynn. So I am like 80 to 85% of the way done with this book. I've been listening to the audiobook a lot today, which is once again, chef's kiss, 10 out of 10. Where's the Oscar for these narrators? I truly feel like this is a very immersive audiobook. It's not quite at the level of like a graphic audiobook, but it definitely has elements of that, which has made the listening experience so good. I do still feel definitely very conflicted about this book. There's things about this book that I think are really great, really strong, and I'm really loving, but then there's just like these glaring things about the book that I wish were a little bit different or I wish we dove into more, and so I'm having a hard time. My thoughts are very jumbled. It's a little chaotic up here, but I'm just gonna try to give you guys my thoughts. At this 80% mark, I feel like I've identified something that I wish was a little bit different, which is I feel like we are not diving into topics and reasonings and like revelations and plot twists enough. Our main character Day, she a number of times throughout the book realizes something and we the reader just kind of have to go along with it, and it's hard because there's a lot of mystery surrounding her and the people around her, her love interest, all of that, and she will kind of like figure out something and be like, oh, this must be it, and I'm like, how did you figure that out? Like, how did you know that? and I like whatever it is that she's figured out, but I want to know more. I'm like, tell me more, tell me more. Please, Miranda Lynn, I need to know. So I think that one of the issues I'm having with this book is we are getting a lot of that tell versus show. I feel like our characters' motivations and how they're coming to these conclusions oftentimes don't really make sense to me, or things are just happening really quickly. Also, our main character, Day, she is an assassin, which we absolutely love that. But some of her decision making, I'm like, how have you survived this long, honestly? Because in the beginning of the book, she seems like this very fierce assassin and doesn't trust anyone, and she's been through so much, and she's a very successful assassin. You know, she has like 100% success rate. But then she's done some things that I'm like, why are you so trusting? Why are you naive? Why are you just like going along with this? So some of her actions have surprised me, so I'm trying to like pin down her characterization, and that has been hard because she's a little bit all over the place. But there are scenes where I really enjoy her, and I think she's very fun and funny, and I can relate to her. But then other times I'm like, babe, what are you doing? And this brings us to our love interest, Oren. You know, seems like a nice enough guy. I'm sure he's great, but I feel like we are not getting enough of him. So he's not like the most dreamy love interest for me, just because I feel like I do not know this man. And as the book has gone on, we're definitely getting to know more, of course, and there have been some reveals, so I'm sure that some of his guarded, protected character has been by design, but I just don't feel like the romance has been developed very well. Once again, like Day's emotions and how she feels towards him has been very confusing and very touch and go, and sometimes that is par for the course with enemies to lovers, but once we've kind of gotten to this lovers part, I just don't find their intense feelings for one another to be very believable, and I wish that I could have just like gone on a journey with them of falling in love instead of it just being like presented to me at a certain point in the book. So those are some of the issues that I'm having with the book, but I'm really entertained by it at the same time. It definitely is a story that has me gripped. You know, as I said before, I'm confused and I am intrigued and I'm along for the ride. I also love the setting. I just cannot say that enough. I really, really like this grim kingdom. I also like the Moulin Rouge club that the crime lord runs, that our male main character and then a lot of the other like side characters and members of this found family are a part of. I think it gives a very just like rich and lush vibe. And I also do like the presence of death in this book. I think that death's role, especially as this book has gone on, has become very interesting. And I think death being kind of one of the characters in this book, so to speak, has been really cool, and the connection that Day has with death and how she has to kind of navigate that has been entertaining. So I don't know how I feel about this book. I'm just gonna stop there with my feelings. I haven't even finished the book. Somebody literally needs to come and like grab me with a hook from the side and pull me off camera. So I stopped talking. I just love to yap. I really do. You guys obviously know this. So I'm gonna stop now, but I am going to finish this book. I have like an hour left of the audiobook. Genuinely don't know where this is gonna go because there's so many different things going on, and because this is a series of interconnected standalones, I'm sure that like the general plot line is going to continue on. So I'm curious to see how we're going to wrap things up and what our characters' fates are going to be in the end. I'm gonna go finish this book. We will talk probably tomorrow with my final thoughts, and then I'm planning to pick up The Throne of Honor and Blood and focus on that book after I finish this. So I will definitely give you guys thoughts on that as well. Hi besties, how are we doing? So I need to talk to you guys, okay? I have very exciting reading updates, lots of feelings, lots to say. So first off, let's talk about Till Death. I finished that book, and the ending of this book was very, very cool. It was unexpected for me. I just think it gives us a lot to think about, and I am very curious to see what else will happen in this series. I think that I've settled on a 3.5 star rating for this book. 3 star does feel a little bit too low, 4 star feels a little bit too high, 3.5 star feels right. While I do definitely have criticisms of this book regarding the romance, which I just don't think was developed enough, and then also some of the characters like motivations and decisions just at times didn't make sense to me, I do think that this book has strengths, and I do think that this book was very fun. And then the ending kind of solidified that I did overall enjoy this book, even though there are a few things that do stand out to me that I wish were a little bit different. I don't know, this book was a good time. I'm definitely going to keep my eye on anything that this author publishes in the future. She does also have a few other series that I would be curious to pick up. I think one is called The Unmarked Witch. I think that's just like one of the books in the series. And then there's another one that is blue, and I think it has like fae, blood, promise, something of that nature in the title, and I think that I would be curious to read other things from this author. But overall, I'm glad I read Till Death. It's not like an all-time favorite. I think it was definitely worth the read, and once again, the audiobook is fantastic. That is one of the best audiobooks I have ever read. It was so well done. The music was great. The duet narration was so engaging, and I really did enjoy listening to it. Next up, we need to talk about The Throne of Honor and Blood. So I am 51% of the way through this book. Guys, I'm really liking this book. It was slow in the beginning. Definitely like there was this battle scene moment that I was like, okay, I'm ready to get past this. Let's keep going. But you know, once we got past it, I really just fell right back into just enjoying these characters and their dialogue and the reveals. There have been multiple reveals in this book, and we're only 51% of the way through, that have truly surprised me, which just makes the reading experience so much fun. I feel like a lot of the other characters' fates that are coming into play and how they are all intertwined just makes this book so cool, and I really think that it just opens things up. It makes the world feel much bigger. It just makes the story feel so much bigger and truly has me not knowing what is going to happen next. So where I'm at in the book right now, really liking it. It's hard, like I want to say more, but I really don't want to spoil anything. If you have read book 1, you're gonna read book 2, you're reading it right now. So I don't really want to talk too much about like Soren and Rook and like where they're at and what's going on with them, but just know I am enjoying how the story is unfolding, and I just love these characters to death. I truly do. I have just fallen deeper and deeper in love with them. I love Rook. Oh my gosh, she is just everything to me. Airly is a queen, particularly in the beginning of this book. She is just everything to me, and I can't wait to see how the rest of the story unfolds. Now, I do want to discuss, there have been a lot of people talking about how there are some editing and like formatting errors. I think particularly towards the end of this book. I haven't got to that yet, obviously, so we'll see how things go. I hope that I can still enjoy the story and the characters. I hope that it's not so distracting that I am not able to understand what's going on. I mean, obviously there shouldn't be any errors at all, right? Like we can all agree on that. But knowing that that is coming, and I've seen people talking about that, I do hope that I can still enjoy the book because I'm having a really good time. And while that is definitely not great, obviously like the best quality product was not put out and maybe things were rushed, I don't know, but I'm just like really hoping that it's not so bad that I like literally can't even understand what's going on. So that's kind of been in the back of my mind. That is all I will say for now about the Throne of Honor and Blood. I did also decide my third book for this vlog, which is going to be the Book of Azriel by Amber V. Nicole. This is going to be a reread. I read this book I think a little over a year ago, and I am rereading it because I do want to pick up the sequel, and then the third book also just came out. So this is a new series that I want to get into, and I do really need to do a reread because this first book has a lot of like intricate world building, and there's lots of different types of creatures at play, and I just need a refresher. I remember the big stuff, but I really don't remember the small details of this book. For some reason, it just has not stuck with me, so I am going to be reading that book for this vlog as well, which I'm really looking forward to because I've been seeing so much fan art for this Gods and Monsters series, and it just has me so excited. So I'm really looking forward to revisiting that story and seeing how I feel about it upon reread. But number one priority right now is the Throne of Honor and Blood. I honestly want to finish it today, but I think that is slightly delusional. I have like 350 pages left, but I just can't put it down, honestly. Like all I'm thinking while I'm filming this is, okay, I need to just go get my Kindle and keep reading because I'm just in a very exciting part of the book right now. Fingers crossed, you guys. I hope that I can enjoy this book, flaws and all. I do want to say, like, I totally understand people's frustration with those flaws, and they should not be there. There should not be editing errors in this book. I definitely think J. Bree is established enough as an author where that shouldn't be happening, right? Like, we are the consumer and the product should be of the highest quality. But I'm kind of just trying to take it for what it is. I already know that that's going to happen, and I don't want it to deter my enjoyment of the book. That is how I see it. There may be people who feel differently, and that is okay. I'm gonna try to enjoy the book, warts and all, but I'll also be very like honest with you guys if it does end up deterring my enjoyment and I just like can't look past it. I'll definitely let you guys know how I feel. Other people may have a different perspective, which is totally okay. So that is all I have to say for now. I'm gonna go back to the Throne of Honor and Blood. I'm so excited. I really hope I continue to like it. Oh my god. We will talk later, either when I finish the book or maybe once I'm like 75-80% of the way through. Just depends how far I get today, but I'll talk to you guys soon. Hi friends. Okay, I wanted to just do a very quick check-in. I have not finished the Throne of Honor and Blood quite yet. I'm on page 521, and I think I'm like 75 or 76% of the way done with the book. So I'm going to finish it today. I am determined to finish it today. I really want to see how it ends, but I did just want to let you guys know how I am liking it since we last talked, because I have read, I think, like almost 200 pages since I last updated you, and I'm really enjoying it. Like truly, I am having so much fun with this book. There have been scenes that have taken my breath away in so many different aspects, like in so many different parts of the plot and character development and the reveals. I love how big the story is getting because some characters that we were introduced to in the last book, they were kind of just like side characters, just kind of there. Their storylines are really starting to play a really big role in the overall plot of this book, and it's just really making the story come to life even more. So I'm really loving that. We've had some like political scheming and interacting with the big big bad in this book has been super enjoyable, and I just love Rook so much. Oh my god, she is amazing. Truly one of my favorite female main characters in any book. She is so fantastic. I'm like, I don't want to say like surprised, but I guess a little bit pleasantly surprised, because when I started the book, I really did not know how I was going to feel about it. I was a little bit nervous. I was still excited, but you know, I was kind of going in cautiously just because I really didn't know what to think. But I am just very happy so far, and I just can't wait to see how things end and like what we leave off with. So I'm really looking forward to finishing this book. That's all I'm gonna say for now. I am now going to like sit down and finish this book. I am determined to. I need to know how it like fully ends. So I will talk to you guys after I finish the Throne of Honor and Blood. Bye besties, it's me, like 2 minutes later. I haven't read any more yet, but I just got a very exciting package in the mail that I wanted to open with you guys. I did already take the packaging off because I wasn't sure what it was initially, but once I saw, I was like, oh, I gotta show the besties. So I received a PR box for The Mist Thief by LJ Andrews. This is one of my most anticipated books. I am so excited, and it is from the Nerd Fam. So thank you so much, the Nerd Fam and LJ Andrews. Oh my god, this box is stunning. So let's open her up. Oh my god. Okay, there is so much happening. Oh my god. Okay, there's like a really lovely smell coming from the box. Okay, this is a lot. A lot is happening. Let me set this down. There are so many goodies in this. First of all, bookmark. It says "Here We Scheme," and it has foiled writing on it. That is beautiful. All right, I think this is the source of the lovely scent that is coming from the box. This is a bath bomb, a Mist Thief Nightmare Prince themed bath bomb. Are we joking? Oh my god, that smells amazing. Oh, and it's really beautiful. It looks like it has sparkles on it. I don't know if you can see that, but you guys know I am a bubble bath girly. I will absolutely be using this tonight. All right, next, they sent a candle as well. I love candles so much. Oh my god, I'm gonna use the bath bomb and then light the candle at the same time. I'm obsessed. Oh, okay. Do you guys see this? Maybe I'll show this more in B-roll, but there is a sword and a little skull. Pirate themed, you know? Oh my god, that smells so good. It's this warm kind of spicy scent. Perhaps that is what Jonas, our male main character, smells like. Okay, and then we have a beautiful character art. Oh my god. There's a quote on the back. Let me read it. "I would not survive this woman. Something had rotted out my resolve. Something dangerous had overtaken my rational thoughts. She consumed me. Actions, thoughts, fears, desires. They now belong to her, as they should. And I did not think she understood what a villain she was in my life. She was destroying me moment by moment." Imagine having someone say that about you. Truly iconic. All right, so this is, oh my god, this is a wedding invitation because it is a marriage of convenience fantasy romance. That is so cute. It says, "You are cordially invited to the arranged," in parentheses, "marriage of the Prince of Nightmares to his reluctant bride, the Mist Thief." That is so cute, and the date is for June 30th when the book comes out. Oh my goodness, I am overwhelmed. This is the coolest like PR package I've ever received. There's so much care put into it. And then we have the book, of course, so beautiful, covered in little gold thingy-mabobs. I don't know what these are called. So beautiful. I love this cover. Ah, smells so good. Ooh, really pretty first page there. Oh my god, it's also signed by the author. No way. Okay, can you guys see that? Oh my god, this is so fun. There was character art in the Ever King, and yep, look at these two beautiful people. I'm so excited to read this. This is on my June TBR, so I definitely want to pick this up very soon. Maybe I'll put this in my next vlog. Oh my god, you guys, there's more stuff. Okay, it's chapstick, dark fantasy lip balm. I can truly say I've probably never said the sentence dark fantasy lip balm. Wow, I am overwhelmed. All of this is so beautiful. I'm so glad that I opened this with you guys. I did not expect all of this. Once again, thank you so much to the Nerd Fam and also to LJ Andrews. I am so excited to read this, you guys. This is going to be so good. Really looking forward to picking this up probably next week. All right, now I'm actually gonna go and I'm gonna go finish my current read. We will talk later. Hi guys, how are we doing? It is the next day. I have finished the Throne of Honor and Blood. My God, I'm just gonna let you know right now, this is gonna be a long reading update. I hope you are seated. I hope you are sat. Grab a snack, buckle in. So last time we talked yesterday, I had gotten to the 75% mark, and so I just needed to finish the last quarter of the book. And I sure did. I sure did finish the last quarter of the book last night. And you guys, I hated the ending of this book in a way that is so frustrating and disappointing and very confusing. And I have so many feelings about the ending of this book. I have so many feelings about the book in general, and I'm just so like gutted by how much I disliked the ending. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to give a non-spoiler kind of quick overview of how I feel about the book, but then we are getting into spoilers. I need to talk about this book. I need to talk about the things that bothered me in the ending. I just want to talk about the book as a whole. I want to give my thoughts on kind of everything that went on. I just can't like talk about it without getting into it. So that's what we're gonna do. I will put a warning when I get into spoilers for sure, but very briefly, my non-spoilery thoughts on the book are I really enjoyed the fantasy and plot elements for most of the book. I was very pleasantly surprised. I talked about that yesterday. The reason why I say that I was pleasantly surprised is, number one, the release of this book was a mess. So my anticipation for it was like dampened a little bit by that. And then right when the book came out, a lot of people read it very quickly, and I had some people like DMing me saying, oh my God, The Throne of Honor and Blood is terrible. Can't wait for your thoughts. I saw a lot of negative reviews on like Instagram and Goodreads, and there was just a lot of negative buzz surrounding the book in general. And so I definitely had to kind of, in my mind, be like, okay, I'm gonna lower my expectations because people are messaging me saying it's bad. I'm seeing Goodreads reviews about it being bad. And like, I don't know, just I try to not let other people's opinions of books impact me too much, but particularly having people like message me and tell me that, and then just seeing a lot of people finishing the book and being unhappy with it, it did kind of impact me a little bit, just in the way that I wanted to set my expectations lower, go in and just see what happens. But when I started the book, I was like, you know what? I'm really liking the plot lines. I'm really liking how the world is expanding. I liked the inclusion of these other characters. I liked getting into their romances and who their mates are and the plot reveals surrounding that. I liked the bit of traveling that we did in this book, so I was having fun. I was really liking those elements. And as far as Soren and Rook go, I'm gonna get into them in the spoiler section, but I will just say that they did have some really good scenes. Overall, their entire story arc, I do feel a bit unsatisfied by, and I didn't want to get into them until I had finished the book, because I really wanted to see how was Jay Bree going to further their arc in this book. I didn't know where we were gonna end up with them, and so I was kind of holding off judgment on some things that happened to just see like, okay, there might be some big grand thing that happens at the end of this book. We might see some really good development. Maybe there's gonna be a crazy thing that happens at the end. So while there were things that I did not enjoy about their dynamic, there were things that I did enjoy about their dynamic. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Once again, I'm gonna get into that in the spoiler section. But really the just absolute nail in the coffin for me, where things completely took a 180, was the ending. I just didn't like it at all. I didn't like it at all. It didn't make sense to me. There was a lot of new information dropped on us without a foundation built. Those reveals did not hit the way that I think that they should have. And there were some major plot twists at the end of this book that don't make sense considering what has been written in The Crown of Oaths and Curses and The Throne of Honor and Blood up until the ending. It just doesn't make sense. And I also feel that there were some really big missed opportunities and some wasted character potential. I just don't get it. I did want to note that none of my dislike for the ending of this book has anything to do with editing or grammar issues. The ending definitely needs to be edited more, but the author has already gone through and fixed a few things. And then I did see a post that I think she's gonna re-edit the whole book. I don't know when, I don't know how that's gonna happen, whatever. But I just want to put that out there that obviously those issues should not be there, but that did not impact my feelings on the end of the book at all. I had more of an issue with how the story went and like what happened with our characters and all of that. So that is my spoiler-free review. I have no idea what I'm going to rate this book. I did give it 3 stars on Goodreads, but 3 stars doesn't even feel right, but I truly don't know what does feel right. It's a very strange thing to generally have a good time with the book and then really dislike the ending and just feel completely like everything building up to this was good, but then wow, things took such a dive at the end. How am I supposed to feel about this book as a whole? So I don't know what I'm gonna rate it. I'm gonna sit on it for a few days, and now we are going to get into spoilers. So I will put a timestamp up for if you do not want to be spoiled for the Throne of Honor and Blood. Skip ahead to that point. All right, friends, let's get into some spoilers. Just a little disclaimer before we get into it. Generally on this channel here, I like to keep things positive. I love talking about books that I love. I love talking about books that I'm excited about. I don't really like talking about books that I don't like. Obviously, I will give my opinions, I will give my thoughts on a 2-star read, but after that, I won't ever think about that book again, and I'm just looking for my next book to love. So generally, I do not like to dwell or harp on a book that I just really don't like. However, we are going to be dwelling and harping today, so just a little bit of a warning. If you don't want to see someone ranting, if you're not into that, you can skip ahead as well. I just need to vent. I need to vent to someone, okay? I need to vent to you guys about the ending of this book, about the book as a whole, and how disappointed and frustrated I am by this book. And I feel this passionate because I love book 1 so much. I also really like the novellas. This series was very special to me. Rook is a character that I love. I do still absolutely love her, by the way. And this book had really good parts to it, but the ending just took such a nosedive and frustrated me out of my mind. I was reading from 80% on. That is where, for me, the book really went downhill. And I was reading it and literally saying like, what? Out loud to myself, because I was like, what is this? Where is this coming from? These reveals don't make any sense. So let's get straight into it. We're gonna start with the ending. We'll work our way back. Number 1, let's talk about Rook. So it is revealed that while Rook is battling Baylor and the Regent's military and all that, she starts calling in some recruits. And it is revealed that she is part reborn witch. And all of these people that she's calling in are like her cousins and her uncle. There's this big old family reunion. What? Pardon? This reveal was so frustrating to me and so confusing because there was not a foundation laid for the reborn witches for this to be an interesting or impactful reveal. I was so confused. We did get like one thing about the reborn witches in the Throne of Honor and Blood, but it was a short little section and it doesn't make any sense. Like what do you mean she's a reborn witch? Okay, why do I, the reader, care about that? We have not been prepped and primed for this. Like this reveal does not hit me at all because I barely know what a reborn witch is. I really dislike when a big reveal, something that is going to be plot bearing, is just kind of like thrown in. And it's like, oh yeah, by the way, she's this. Like, what do you mean she's a reborn witch? Why do I care? Like what, it doesn't feel like something that I think was super well thought out and well planned and plotted. And so the fact that, oh, that was one of the big reveals at the end of the book, it's like, okay, I don't even know what that means and I don't care that she's a reborn witch. I'm gonna have to care apparently, but we were not set up for that and it felt very confusing and really hard to follow. The second thing that we got revealed about Rook is that she has been a little liar, a little secret keeper, and her full prophecy is not only that she's going to be the one to kill Carl Balzog, no idea if I'm saying that name right, by the way, but she is also going to die when she kills him. His death will bring her death as well, which is an interesting reveal. Like, I don't hate that. I'll be curious to see how we get out of that because obviously we're gonna have a happily ever after, so I'm sure that everything's gonna be figured out, but I think that that does bring about interesting conflict. I don't mind that, but I couldn't even focus on that because I was just like, who are all these people? They're all related to Rook. She's apparently been hiding the secret the whole time. How is this relevant to the series as a whole and to our plot? I just feel like a lot of things were thrown in at the end just to make things crazy and wild and reveal, but if you don't have the foundation laid out for these reveals, I just don't think that they hit, and they did not hit for me. I was just wildly confused and frustrated by this part. Speaking of wildly confused and frustrated, Pemba, you are joking. You're joking. Pemba is dead, you guys. Oh, and by the way, Pemba has been dead for 5 years. Didn't you guys know that? Couldn't you guys tell? No, I could not tell because Pemba has been written about in present tense in The Crown of Oaths and Curses and in The Throne of Honor and Blood. Rook talks about Pemba a lot. That is her brother who she loves so much. And I swear he is talked about like he is alive. This little plot twist to me feels suspicious. Look, this is Jay Bree's book. This is her series. She can do whatever she wants with it. Just my opinion, my observation, I feel like this was thrown in at the end for shock value. It does not make sense because I personally feel, as a reader of this series, as someone who has read the first book twice now, didn't we all kind of feel that it was alluded to that eventually Rook's family and friends from the Northern Lands were going to come to the Southern Lands and like have it out with Soren and the Unseelie High Fae? I swear there was a foreshadowing, and just they kept getting brought up, and I was like, oh, Rook's family is going to come meet Soren, and it's gonna be hell, and it's gonna be wonderful hell. It's gonna be the best conflict ever. Maybe this is how Soren is going to redeem himself. He's gonna have it out with her brother and all of her friends. Hanaday is gonna come, who is like her friend that she had a little tryst with. That's gonna cause conflict for Soren and Rook. I swear we have been building up to that. I swear that Pemba was going to be a significant character in this series. No, he's dead, and he's actually been dead for 5 years. I don't believe that at all. And when I say I don't believe that, I don't think he's gonna like come back all of a sudden. I just don't think that that was the original plan from the beginning of this series. I simply do not. It feels like we were just throwing things at the wall, and unfortunately, Pemba's death stuck. That irritated me beyond belief because it does not make sense. I feel like it's such a waste of a character and waste of conflict, waste of plot progression. Pemba, I think, is such an important character in the series and had such importance leading up to what his character could have done, and I have no idea why we killed him off. And we meet his wife, Kirsten. She just shows up and is like, hey, I'm here to hang out. She does not seem like someone whose fated immortal mate is no longer with us. She was the most happy, bubbly, like, everything is great, smile, smile, smile character, and she felt so random. Of all the people that we could have met from the Northern Lands, she felt so random, and as soon as she came onto the scene, things just started getting weird. And then another character, Hanaday, once again, no idea if I'm saying that correctly, but this is Rook's old friend in the Northern Lands. They fought in the Soul Army together. They had like some type of little romantic something going on. He just shows up at the very end of the book. He's just there all of a sudden. I reread the scene where Hanaday comes onto the page 5 times because I was like, am I blacking out? Like, am I blacking out while I'm reading this? There is no presentation of him. He is just there all of a sudden. And he's like, Rook, what are you doing? Da 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 da. And it's like, I'm sorry, we have been talking about you and alluding to you and what you mean to Rook, and you're just here? This is how we're going to meet you? It, once again, wasted conflict, wasted potential. Would it have not been so wonderful to see Soren and Hanaday having this conflict, and once again, another opportunity for Soren to prove himself and have some redemption by winning over her family, by winning over her heart, given this conflict. And to me, just the whole thing with Pemba and Hanaday and how wasted they were, how unimportant they feel by the end of this book, is such a letdown to what could have been such a fantastic conflict. What I thought this book was going to be in the Throne of Honor and Blood was Pemba and co were going to come to the Southern Lands, and Rook and Soren and Pemba and everyone were going to have to figure out some way to get along. There would be people having to team up. There were going to be fighting against the Regent, Pemba and all of them trying to figure out how to coexist with the High Fae. That is what I feel like we were set up for. We didn't get that. We certainly did not get that. So I'm very, very sad about the lack of those characters, and I feel like they were set up to be so important, and then they're just so not. Pemba is literally gone. Also, there was a reel that came out like a few months before the book was released. It was character art of the characters that are going to be in the second book, and Pemba was in that reel, and so was Hanaday, and so was a character named Stone. Stone does not appear on page in the entirety of the Throne of Honor and Blood. He is talked about, but I don't know, it makes me feel like things were changed and things were moved around, and the original storyline was scrapped and we just did a few other things, because why give character art for a character who is literally not on page in the book? I mean, same thing with Pemba. Like, Pemba technically is not in this book. Why do we need to put him in the reel about the characters who are going to be in the Throne of Honor and Blood? It feels weird. It feels suspicious. It feels strange. I literally hate that she killed off Pemba, and not because I felt any emotional connection to him. Barely knew him, and now I will never know him, but he was such an important person in Rook's life, and it felt like he was going to be so significant in the series, and he is simply not. All right, so now let's talk about Soren and Rook. My feelings with Soren and Rook while I was reading were, I liked some scenes. I thought that there were some good moments between them. I liked the scene where Soren gave a sacrifice to the forest. That was a really big deal. Book 1 Soren would not have done that, so that shows a little bit of growth. I enjoyed the hot springs scene because how could I not? That was very fun. But I was holding out any like major judgment of their their dynamic as a whole, because I wanted to read the entire book first. I wanted to see how the book ended, because in my mind, I was like, there is gonna be some big moment. There is gonna be some big sacrifice that Soren has to make. There is gonna be some big gesture of love, gesture of defense for Rook. Something will happen to make up for the fact that he was a menace in book 1. And Jay Bree said no. Jay Bree said absolutely not. We're not getting that. And so I was stunned when I finished the book, because I was like, where is our big redemption? Where is our groveling? Where is any of that? He is apologetic at times, but the fact that the first book is 600 pages of him calling her it, him putting her in a dungeon, him fantasizing about her death, and then they're just like, cool. They're just like, okay, fun, great, let's just be together. You know what? Let's just not grovel. You don't need to grovel. Let's just be together. I don't understand that at all. I feel like Jay Bree wrote him like too good in the first book, and for some reason we did not get to see him make up for any of that. And Rook, like, where was I would rather walk Rook? Where was that does not look like begging to me? Rook. I knew she was gonna forgive him. Rook is a very gentle soul. She is a forgiving person. But where is that energy? She should have had that for at least the first half of the book. I know that eventually the fates are gonna step in. She has to be with him. But like, I just feel so let down by that, and it just makes me mad because I love Rook so much and I could see myself liking Soren, but I wanted that man to crawl. I wanted him to crawl across shattered glass in some capacity, and he absolutely did not. He got away with so many crimes in book 1, and I just wanted so much more from that. I want them to be happy. I want them to be together. I want to see the romance. I am happy to root for Soren if he pays for his crimes. And I personally don't think that he did. And then just like a few other things of note. Rowan, what happened, babe? Where'd you go? Rowan was such an important character in book 1, and he was just kind of there in book 2, and I don't know what happened to him. But there are things that I do want to talk about that I liked about this book. I really liked the plot and the fantasy elements. I loved finding out about Thea, that being Toron or Titan's mate. I can't tell them apart, to be honest with you. I loved that reveal. I'm also so curious about who has been mistreating her, who is abusing her. I think that's gonna be a big shock. I also loved when they went to the Iris. I don't know how to pronounce a single word in this book, by the way. The Iris castle, and they stay with Sari, and then Sari acts like this very ditzy little princess, blah, blah, blah. But then she starts speaking that very uncommon language to Rook and is like, my uncle is going to kill Soren. Like, you guys need to get out of here. I loved her. I loved the little like power play with her and all of her friends, and Rook being there. That was so much fun. Oh my God, I absolutely loved that. And I loved when Soren had to hear the story about all of the deaths that occurred in the forest. I thought that was a really cool and immersive scene. I really liked the beginning with the naming ceremony for little Raiden. That was super cute. And beginning scenes with Rook and her being very emotionally damaged by the witch's wane and all of that. I liked that some of the side characters became more important. I liked Gage and Gideon. I thought that they were fun. I do think it's weird how Gage and Rook and Soren like went to the castle to go try to get Gage's mate, but then they just kind of gave up on that. And like, it makes sense. She's protected with Sari, whatever. But the whole reason that they went there was like to go get her, and Gage was like, I need to see her. I need to see my mate. And then they just go like, we'll catch you later, Malia. That was a little bit weak, but I still really liked those scenes and I liked seeing them all together. I thought that the ribbon ceremony thing between Soren and Rook was a very, very cute, even though Soren doesn't deserve it. I thought that that was sweet. I liked that. But yeah, I hated the ending. I hated the ending of this book. It felt so random. It felt so cobbled together. Doesn't make sense. I'm so disappointed. I'm so genuinely disappointed. Those are my spoilery thoughts, you guys. I know that that was very all over the place. I'm sorry if that was hard to follow. I have not felt that angry at an ending of a book in such a long time, and it just really sucks because I think this series is so fantastic up until this point. I love book 1 so much. The novellas are great. It was like true enemies to lovers. The first book is just so well done, and I feel like it was one of the rare scenarios where an author was willing to like go there with enemies without it being like dark romance. I was so excited to see how we were going to like untangle all of that, and it just really ended up falling flat in so many ways. And then the ending was just so confusing, and I cannot believe that Pemba is dead. That is so ridiculous. I cannot believe that we're not gonna have Rook's friends and family from the Northern Lands like have it out with Soren and everyone, and them all have to learn how to get along. Like, I feel like that was so clearly where we were heading. I don't understand. I'm too mad about it, honestly. I need to calm down. Those are my thoughts. I'm going to stop talking. We're all done. I have no idea what I'm rating this book, but I'm gonna go now and I'm gonna go listen to more of the Book of Asriel. And the next time we talk, I will be hopefully chilled out, and I will give you guys my thoughts on the Book of Azriel, and hopefully that is going well. Hi besties, happy Saturday. So it's been a few days since my last check-in. I feel like I've mostly calmed down from the shock of the ending of The Throne of Honor and Blood. I'm not over it. I don't think I'll ever get over it, but I do think I'm just gonna stick with my 3-star rating. It's difficult. Sometimes the star rating for me just doesn't feel accurate to how I feel about a book. The confusing and conflicting feelings that I have about that book, the highs that I felt with it, and the like devastating low I felt by the end of it. It's really hard to put all of those feelings into a star rating and just be like, yeah, it's 3 stars. Like, I don't know if there is a singular star rating that accurately reflects my feelings on that book, but I'm just gonna stick with 3 stars. That feels the most right. But yeah, so let's now move on to something that is very, very exciting. So the third and final book that I will be reading for this week's vlog is The Book of Azriel by Amber Nicole. As I told you guys, this is a reread. I really want to pick up the second and third book, which just came out very soon, and I wanted to refresh myself because I think it's been a year or over a year since I picked this up. I don't quite remember, but I really needed to refresh myself because this is a very intricate world. We have lots of different creatures. We have like vampires and witches and werewolves and like shadow wraiths, and then gods and Igmorithins, which are just kind of generally magical, super powerful beings. That is what our main character Diana is. And I really wanted to just refamiliarize myself with this book. And thank God I did. You guys, I am having the craziest experience with this book. The first time I read this, I gave this a 3.5-star rating. And I remember feeling like there were parts that dragged for me and I just didn't totally love the book fully throughout. I do not know who that girl is who rated this book 3.5 stars. This is perfect. This is like a perfect urban fantasy romance. I am loving every single second of this book. I don't know why the reread is hitting me this way. I think it just goes to show that sometimes you might read a book at the wrong time, or maybe I'm just reading this at the right time. I don't know. But going into this, I did not expect to feel this way. I was like, okay, I want to do a reread to refamiliarize myself. I gave it a 3.5 star. I overall enjoyed my first time reading it, but I did definitely feel like there were some pacing issues. But now, absolutely not. I cannot put this book down. Every single chapter I have loved. I don't know her. I don't know the girl who read this prior, because I feel like I'm going to give this book 5 stars, which is crazy to me, but truly there is not a second of this book I haven't enjoyed. I have been smiling. I have been loving the world building. I am obsessed with Diana and Liam, our 2 main characters, and I just feel like this is an incredible first book in a series. I feel like the series is just going to explode in so many different ways because we have such a rich world here. The writing is fantastic. The dialogue is great. The banter is top tier. I am obsessed, and just it feels so good to be feeling this excited about a book. So if you don't know what this book is about, as I said, main characters are Diana and Liam. So Diana is an Igmorithin, and she was originally a mortal, but she was made into this weapon, essentially. She is morally gray. She is a killer. She eats humans and their hearts. She can see their thoughts and memories from that, but she is tied to and under the thumb of this other Igmorithin named Caden. He is the one who made her. They have this very toxic kind of relationship. It's not even a relationship, but they are lovers at times, but he also controls her. She is essentially enslaved to him and has to do whatever he says, and he threatens her sister's safety if she ever does step out of line. So Diana's life is just about being a weapon, about being a killer, and doing whatever Caden says. Liam is a long forgotten god who has been in a self-inflicted exile. So many, I think like 1,000 years ago, there was a big war, and Liam feels that he caused so much destruction and the death of many important people, and he absolutely hates himself. And if there's one thing that I personally love in a book, is a male main character who hates himself. I don't know why, but it hits, especially in a fantasy setting. The dark, broody, self-loathing male main character, give it to me every single time. I just love that characterization so much, and Liam is no exception. However, he is brought to the world that Diana lives in because Diana and Caden's other lackeys set out to look for this very important artifact called the Book of Azriel. Essentially, the world that they live in used to have access to all these other realms, and that's where like the vampires came from, and the witches and the werewolves and the Igmorithins, but all of the realms have been closed, and Caden really wants to open them. And during one of the searches for the Book of Azriel, Diana gets into a little scuffle. Some things happen. This essentially brings Liam to this world. He has to enter modern society and kind of deal with some conflicts that his friends and allies cannot handle without him. This leads to Diana and Liam having to very reluctantly team up to find find the Book of Azriel. So much happens to get to that point, but I don't want to say how we get there. But the two of them set out on a search to find this Book of Azriel. People are worried about it getting into the wrong hands, and because of the strengths of both Liam and Diana, they realize that they need to work together to find it before anyone else does. So I think one of the best things about this book is the author really digs in deep to each of our characters. We really get to know Diana's like mental state. We really get to know her and her history, how she feels about who she is and her relation to Caden. And same with Liam. We get to know so much about him, and these characters feel extremely fleshed out. And then watching their dynamic go from like enemies to reluctant allies to friends to lovers, I think is really well done. And I think once again, we get a lot of detail about their interactions. We have really fun, like small kind of mundane interactions between them that are really sweet, and the banter is just so great between them. You can definitely feel the tension between these characters, and I think they're really well suited to one another. Diana is definitely going to become a new all-time favorite female main character. She reminds me of Bryce Quinlan and Selena Sardathian, and she is just such a badass. She is so sarcastic. She is very morally gray, and I really love her. Also, with this being an urban fantasy, which I just love so much, please give me all the urban fantasy romance recs, because truly I think this is one of my favorite subgenres. In the beginning of the book, we see Diana visiting her sister, and they like go clubbing and they go to the beach and they go shopping and they just do all of these very modern things. There's technology in this book. Everyone has cell phones. It gives me similar vibes to House of Earth and Blood, just done in a different way. So currently I am on page 297, and I think that this book is almost 500 pages. So I have a little bit over 200 pages to go. I am going to finish this book today, and I just want to let you guys know that I'm absolutely loving it. I'm so obsessed with these characters. I really like Amber Nicole's writing style. I have heard that each book gets better and better in the series, and this is such a strong start. I cannot wait to see what else happens. I also heard that this is going to be a 7-book series, which is really crazy. Like I said, there are so many things going on in this book and so many side plots that I think that this world is just really going to explode. I'm really looking forward to continuing on with it, but I am just truly shocked and cannot get over the fact that I didn't really click with this book as much as I am now. I don't know what happened, but I think that I'm just picking this up at the perfect time. It's exactly what I needed. It's making me so happy. So unless things go like super downhill at the end of this book, which, as we have seen from my previous read, is entirely possible. I don't trust anything. I don't trust anyone. Like, I have to be very careful and tread lightly, but I think that this is definitely going to be like either a 4 or a 5 star for me, because I am loving literally every single second of this. There's not a moment that I've been bored, so I don't know what I was thinking prior, but it's really hitting me good this time around, which makes me very happy. So that is my update for the Book of Azriel. I'm gonna go finish this now. I'd like to get this video up tomorrow, so I'm really gonna try to finish this today, edit, and get it up for you guys. So I will definitely talk to you once I have finished this, and I'll give you my final thoughts on it. Besties, hello. So it is now 6 p.m. Sorry if it's a little bit dark. It's like super cloudy and rainy and just terrible today. Classic January summer for Seattle. But I am so excited because I finished the Book of Azriel and it was so good. Oh my god, you guys. I loved this. I loved this so much. I'm giving this book 5 stars. It hit so much better on a reread. I just had so much fun. There was not a moment of this book that I did not enjoy. I loved all the characters. I loved all the plot lines. There's so much going on in this book and in this world. I cannot wait to see what happens in the next book and the one after that and the 4 future books planned. Like, I just think this is going to be such an incredible series. I loved the development of Liam and Diana's relationship. I loved all of the plot twists. I loved the magic system and just the like lore and history and how that played into everything and how I think it's going to play into things in the future. And then the ending. The ending is so good and it hit me so much harder. I feel like Amber Nicole was not afraid to pull punches, and I'm so glad because I feel like this next book is gonna be insane. I'm a little bit nervous about it, but in the best way. It's such a good ending. Oh my god. I mean, tragic, but so good. I cannot say this strongly enough. If you have not read this book, you need to go pick this up immediately. This is like one of my new favorite fanros that I have ever read, and it's wild that it was a reread for me and that the first time around it just didn't hit me the way that it is now. But I also think that I've read so many more fantasy romances since I read this book for the first time around, and I think that our tastes are just constantly evolving and changing, and we're finding out what we like and what we don't like in certain subgenres, specifically for me, fantasy romance. And all I know is the place that I'm at now with like my reading and my preferences, this is a 5-star incredible fantasy romance. Oh my god, everything about it was perfection. I also love that even though the romance developed, we definitely have a lot more to explore, and there's a lot of unknown going into the next book. So I'm so happy I read this. I'm so happy that we are ending the vlog on such a high note, and I'm literally obsessed with these characters. Oh my god, Diana Martinez is everything to me. She is a queen. I cannot wait to see what's gonna happen in book 2. Oh my god, I need to pick that book up ASAP. All right, besties, so that is going to be it for this week's weekly reading vlog. I really feel like we went on a journey this week. The first book, Till Death by Miranda Lynn, was good, 3.5 stars. I have some criticisms, but overall, I'm happy that I read that book. It was fun. And then we had The Throne of Honor and Blood, another one of my most anticipated releases of the year that started off good, but truly the ending just leaves me not even knowing what way is up. I don't know who I am. That ending just threw me off so much. I literally cannot stop thinking about like that last 20% and like, what was that? Even like the sentence structure was weird in the end. Like it felt different. It felt like removed from, okay, anyway, I'm just gonna stop. I think that I yapped enough earlier, oh my god. But I'm very happy that I ended on The Book of Azrael. I loved this book so much more upon reread. It is so good. Please go read this book and live your best life, because it is a wonderful urban fantasy romance. If you made it to this point in the video and you wanted to let me know, go ahead and leave a candle emoji for the fake candles that we have going on in the background here. Please make sure that you are following me on Instagram and Goodreads. They will always be linked down below. I really appreciate that you watched this video. I hope that you're having a fantastic day. I love you all so much, and I will catch you guys in the next one.